My sister is a Zoomer, I'm a Millennial, and today I'd like to talk about this very topic of generational differences. Well, more specifically, of course, in manicures. I've found that Zoomers and Millennials react to nails very differently. But first, please pay attention to the removal. We're about to remove the previous coating. These are Liza's nails, and here was that very Coca-Cola color, or garden dirt as some people called it. The brand we used was BSG. I'm removing it now with a magic beads drill bit, and I'm showing you clearly how well nails hold up on Liza, and it doesn't matter which brand the coating was from. She's a hairdresser and she works a lot with her hands, plus her natural nails are very hooked with missing growth points. So today we're going to have a whole bunch of adventures here, and this kind of condition for her is more or less normal. By the way, I also want to show how to use the pusher now, with this unusual pusher that looks like an orange stick, and we're going to work on some really stuck-on cuticle. It's so stuck together that you can't separate it with anything, well, almost nothing. You can use an interesting technique instead. Here I take a pusher that looks like an orange stick in shape and very carefully push it back. But I want to say that in the video it doesn't look careful, but I can definitely say that the movements are very precise, very specific and smooth. You can hold and steady the hand and understand how far you can push it. If the hoof tool doesn't help, you can use the other side, the sharp one like this, and finish separating any areas that are still stuck together. I'm showing this clearly right now. Next, we'll be working with a safety bit. This kind of bit honestly used to seem pointless to me. Mine is from Magic Beads. And this bit is a carbide bit, but it's completely blunt. It's like the one used for removal, but it won't do anything to you. And the main thing is that it won't file through your nail plate, but it will help you lift the cuticle really well. This option is perfect for those difficult clients, for cuticles that are really stuck on. I really love using the safe bit, and I catch myself reaching for it quite often, even if the cuticle is absolutely normal, just because it's easier to work that way. And believe it or not, today we're going to do an e-file manicure. Yes, an e-file manicure on stuck-on cuticles. Yes, I'm really being a rebel today, so to speak. But first, talc. I don't even know how long I've had this talc, but if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I've been using this Domix talc for a very long time. I just love it because it's not too fine. I really don't like fine talc, honestly. I think it actually clogs up the drill bit because it gives such a silky finish on the skin. Yes, the nail file is behind the screen. That's why I use a coarser talc, which removes all the oil and any unnecessary moisture from the nails really well. And because of this, our work with diamond bits will be much more comfortable. But before I start working, I do a very quick rough filing, which just means I slightly file the side walls that have curled up. Because we're about to use dual forms, I'm really going all out today. Here I'm showing you how to work with a diamond bit with a red band. On Liza, I often use red or yellow bits. And by the way, you know what I wanted to emphasize? People often say to me, Alina, are all your bits new or something? Actually, my bits are quite the opposite. They're all very much not new. I tried to figure out how old this bit is, but I think it's a lot, because just by looking at it, you can tell it's already pretty worn out. It's also from Magic Beads, just like all my other bits, but they just last a long time for me. Because first of all, I clean them properly. I use ultrasonic cleaning as well, and I also do mechanical cleaning. So it's a double cleaning method, and of course I always use talc. That's the main reason why my bits work so well, because there's no grease, nothing to get stuck in there. And even if the bit isn't brand new, even if it's clearly worn out, it's been used for about 6 months maybe. I'm talking about the one I'm using. It's popular because of these bits. But nevertheless, it works perfectly fine, and it files really well. After the bit with a blunt tip, I switch to a bit with a sharp tip, and usually I only work on the side walls with it. That is, these are the places where the blunt tip of the previous bit can't reach, so I just refine them a little. It takes very, very little time, but it gives a super cool result. For your convenience, by the way, absolutely everything I use, even for a second, I show on the screen in pictures. So you can easily find all of this on the internet. Or sometimes, for example, I try to share my links in Telegram. So, while I'm finishing up here, we're slowly approaching the inevitable, the cuticle removal. Now I'll try to explain to you exactly what you need for this. The first thing is a well-lifted cuticle. It should be raised and turned out like this. Next, you need a microphone bit with a blue band. In my case, even though Liza has super thin skin and her cuticle was stuck, I will definitely handle this task right before your eyes. You can use not only a micro bit but also a bud or a ball bit, but I still recommend that it has a blue band. But this is not the main, not the primary secret. Yes, of course, bits with good coating, proven bits, all of this can be guaranteed by magic beads. But in addition to this, we also need a certain speed and a device that you are confident in. This is not just an empty statement, because I have tried it on other devices, on different ones, on cheap ones, on all kinds, on various ones. In general, the device has this thing, a parameter like these newtons, something per square meter or something like that. I'll show you this parameter that my device has there, but simply put, yes, that's its power. Watts, not the ones we usually look at like it's wattage, but a completely different power. Well, in other words, torque. So when we touch the skin, the device shouldn't stop because of that pressure and contact. This particular parameter will definitely ensure a very comfortable cut for you, even though it might seem like we're working on super delicate skin with a blue banded bit. That's why I've prepared a visual diagram for you now. I'll do my best to explain it in such a way that even someone who has never worked with hardware techniques before will be able to do it. But it's important, for the first time, listen carefully, you need to try it on yourself. Because until you try it on yourself, you won't understand or feel how much you can or can't press on the cuticle. Because visually it looks really scary, but since the speed here is super ultra low, there's actually absolutely nothing to be afraid of. That's it. I'm finishing up with the pinky now, and on the thumb I'll explain and show you everything in great detail. In the meantime, you can check out our result. There was no filing here, just this kind of cut with the drill bit. It's done, everything is good, everything looks beautiful. Alright, now the thumb, we put a dot in the middle, and now I'm going to draw some lines. These lines are needed so you can understand how the drill bit moves. So the drill bit will move counterclockwise, and our dot is like a little nail that's right in the center. We take the drill bit, the microphone with the blue band, and my device is the Dr. Alex SP130. It's a super quiet device with a very lightweight handle. Overall, I definitely recommend it. Now let's move on to the actual prep work. So for the first pass, we went along the cuticle line and lifted it just a little bit. And the second pass is that we need to increase the speed. Attention! 56,000 RPM on this particular Dr. Alex device will definitely give you that result. I can guarantee that. But first we test it on ourselves because we need to understand how to press. And the main secret and trick is in my index finger and thumb. Because at this moment I create tension on the skin, pinch it between my fingers and get this clean, neat, beautiful result on a super difficult cuticle. So we spray everything with a degreaser. We don't celebrate for long because we realize that our nails are curving down. Now let's move on to the application. And here we're going to extend the nails. By the way, I haven't forgotten about Zoomers and Millennials yet, so we'll definitely get back to that in a moment. I'm just waiting for the moment when we'll have something on the nails and there will be some kind of design. What do we have? We have a super hooked index fingernail with the growth points removed, and I suggest lifting it a little bit. Because with dual forms it will just get in our way. This curled shape will throw us off a little. Because we have quite an adventure here. We've applied primer and dehydrator. I have everything from Iris K. And next, from the AM brand, I use a rubber base. It will be used as our base layer. I apply it to all the nails at once. And I apply it 5 nails at a time. That is, we put 5 fingers of one hand to cure. And we put the 5 fingers of the other hand to cure in the same way. It's pretty quick, it spreads very easily with the brush. I can also recommend the base. I've already tested it. I really liked it. I've already shown it several times. The base layer is applied to protect your client from burns. Because the base layer will cure 100%. In 60 seconds, any clear base should cure completely in a thin, proper layer. What happens next to the nails doesn't really affect them much anymore. Well, you know what I mean in the proper sense of the phrase, yes. So you don't need to worry if, for example, you slightly miscalculate the amount of gel. By the way, here's the gel. I just took out the gel from Biotech. Beige to be precise. And I'm also showing you the brushes that I'll be using. One brush is for Polygel from Beige. And the second brush is from Areski line 10.0, that's what it's called. And also to help me, I have a flashlight from Eminka which I'll use to flash cure. Without it, there's really nothing you can do with dual forms. Now we take our souffle gel. Mine is transparent, it doesn't run, but it self-levels a little. It has a very interesting consistency. And now you can notice that it's a little bit cloudy, but I want to say that after curing, it becomes absolutely clear. That's really great. I'm showing you how I distribute the gel. So I apply more product to the lower 2/3 because my goal is to make the area near the cuticle as clean as possible. Well, the very one without any borders or anything like that. So I'm showing you how I applied it. Near the cuticle, it's super thin. Next, taking into account the direction in which our fingers and nails grow. Well, basically our nails grow a little to the side. I think that's noticeable. You need to try to slightly shift the upper form to the side because we need to correct this a little bit. We flash cure near the cuticle and then it pops off. The thing is, the form turned out to be too rigid and it just snapped off. Plus half of my gel cured and the other half didn't. Well, I ran into this kind of unexpected situation. The problem with flat nails is that out of all the dual forms I have, and I have a whole darn cabinet full of them, only these ones fit her, this exact curve. By the way, that's a drawback of dual forms, because to actually do something with them, you need 1,000,000 of these containers. Well, more precisely, these boxes with forms. Write in the comments, yeah, maybe someone has super universal forms. I've tried, honestly, a ton of different forms, and there just aren't any that fit absolutely everyone. This finger in particular gives me a lot of trouble because it really grows sideways. The finger itself just goes off to the side. I'll show it clearly on a freeze frame a bit later. And this is exactly the case when we really can't change anything drastically. Well, because if the finger grows sideways and we make the nail straight so it lines up with the others, it will look like it's broken. Seriously. So it will look extremely unnatural. That's why, correction is possible, but everything should be done in moderation and everything should be reasonable. And let the person who claims that these nails can be fixed come to Kazan and throw a stone at me. Honestly, I'm not afraid to say that, because some things really can't be fixed. Well, there is nature, and you just can't go against it. I mean, how can I explain it to you? Well, if a stylist picks out clothes for you, yes, they can somehow hide your flaws. But if your legs are short and your tummy sticks out, unfortunately, nothing can hide that. I've checked, even a corset always helps me, but that's not the point right now. So we're applying more gel into another upper form. I'm using gel souffle from BSG. It's an extremely convenient material for upper forms. Honestly, it's one of the most convenient. Well, if the nails are hooked like ours, you see, you get this kind of space that needs to be filled. By the way, I filled a lot from the inside. And let's take a look at how our extended, well, basically the added length that we did here. If you say something wrong now, it'll all start. Well, basically, yes, I want to say that it's not bad, because these forms are a perfect fit for her. Look, we managed to cover our ingrown sides, which usually just causes so much trouble. But there's one problematic finger, yes, that's the spot where our upper form slipped and popped off because of its stiffness. So the upper form may seem good, but it's too stiff and this can happen. That's why you should choose thinner, more flexible ones. But this situation isn't critical. I'll just add some material from the inside and fix it a bit on top. Yes, I'll have to file it. Well, I'm not going to remove everything and redo it from scratch because you have to file in both cases. I'm choosing the lesser evil. Everything is dry and we're taking off the tacky layer. As promised, the nails are completely transparent. Liza told me then, maybe we should leave it like this. That's the difference. Millennials and Zoomers, yes, so our aesthetics are not the same as theirs. They definitely have a more relaxed attitude towards many things. And how should I put it? They look at these things differently. It's not bad or good. They just do it differently. That's really true. At the end, I'll show you her perspective on nails. She took the camera from me and said, "Let me show you how I see it." And it really turns out completely different. It was a very interesting experience. Here I'm showing you a super minimal filing, which you usually see in all the masterclasses on the upper form. on those nails where they fit well and everything worked out without any problems, but the undersides are still ahead of us. And inside, of course, there will be just a million adventures. I had to file the index finger, just as I said, because there we kept adding, building up, and so on. But that's our most problematic one. Well, actually, no. The most problematic one is probably the thumb. Exactly the same damaged growth points. We had to build everything up and reconstruct it. Here, it's important to use a material you trust. I'm definitely confident in gel soufflé. It will really hold well, and all our growth points will stay in place. I use a drill bit to work on the tiny details like micro steps and those super tiny drips. The drill bit is from Magic Beads. I call it Baby, but it actually has a proper name. I'll put it on the screen. I just choose not to remember these strange names made up of letters and numbers. Honestly, it's long and complicated. For me, it's Baby, my good little helper. Well, here I want to show you this nightmare. No, really, everything looked fine from the outside, but when you turn it over, it's horrifying. Now we have to file all of this down. On the plus side, I want to say that the straight-sided ceramic bit I have here, together with a properly chosen material, makes filing comfortable. And the soufflé is just like that. The gel is actually very comfortable, really pleasant to file. And visually, as I was editing, it looks like you're just slicing through soft butter with a knife. Overall, the filing will be as comfortable as possible, considering the current condition of the nails. And as you can see, I filed out almost all of the natural nails from the inside because they all grow downward to some extent, even if it's different for each one. And for this kind of filing, I'll need not just one bit, but can you imagine as many as 3? Because the first bit is ceramic, I used it to remove the general bulk of excess material, extra nail, and so on. So this is the first rough stage. Once again, I choose a bit with a straight edge. I think it's more convenient, and I just like it better this way. The second bit we need is a small carbide bit with a coarse cut, also known as the little one. And with this bit, I work on the harder to reach areas that are already close to the skin, but even after working on them, we'll still have some spots right here on the edge, where there are sometimes little notches. Well, first of all, the bit is not reversible, it only works in one direction. I'll use it to work on as much as possible, but then we'll still have these little snags left, which will need to be finished with another bit, a diamond one. But since I'm a lazy technician, I didn't take another bit. I took the same one I used for the cuticle. I have a diamond bit with a red band. And if everything is degreased and your bit is reliable, you'll get this kind of result, meaning you'll be able to remove absolutely all the ridges. You don't have to worry that the client will feel burning from touching the skin, because this bit is meant for working on the skin. It won't burn as much. Well, I mean, of course, if you hold it for a really long time, there will be some discomfort. But if you do it correctly, like I'm showing you, you'll get a super clean, neat and beautiful sidewall. And your client's hair won't get caught anywhere afterward, and you won't hear that silly complaint. After that, I'll take a 180 grit file again, like Nippon Nippers. I'll show you a picture as well, and I'll just clean up the sidewalls where needed, basically working on some small details. And a little secret, after pressing on the jewel forms, when you've finished everything before applying the coating, use a sharp bit like this to go over the sinuses, because there might be tiny overflows there that could ruin everything for you later. By the way, about the upper forms, this is what they look like. These are Olga Archipova's dual forms. It's a wonderful set, but for me they're just a bit too stiff. Still, I do use them in my work, because I have a client for whom only these specific almond-shaped dual forms work, and there are 4 of them in the set. So if anyone needs them, you can take a screenshot and find them online. Next, what's coming up next? Next, I want to show you our final result, how the nails look after all the filing we've done. By the way, all those people who say dual forms are easy. Dual forms are easy, but still require some effort. So, whoever noticed the brush from Julia Bellet number 6, good job, because I'm honestly tired of writing what kind of brush this is. This brush is called Cover, and I'm using it right now to apply the base. Notice how long and flexible the bristles are. It's a cool feature, and so far I've only seen this kind of brush from Bailey. And it's one of my favorites. It always stands in my cup because I use it to apply, for example, the base. just like I did now. Because we're going to use gel, and this is a stained glass gel, not black. No, the jar is just black, you can't see anything. This is a gel from BSG, and its shade is a dusty, dusty blue. When I saw this gel, I just fell in love with it. I thought, oh my god, it's beautiful. And at that moment, I realized how much criticism I'd get from millennials, but not from Zoomers, because they actually like this kind of finish. Even though I'm also a millennial, I like them too. Simply because there are so many different things in my life. And I've tried so much already that I just want variety. It's normal, but it's kind of an occupational hazard in a way. But look how nicely this gel spreads. While I was editing, I watched it so many times, I realized that for me, applying gel is like meditation. It's just that cool, and of course it'll show along the sides, it will look like it's grown out. That's exactly how it's supposed to look. That's normal, because that's the correct way to apply gel. So if I apply gel near the cuticle and on the sides in a thick layer, it will look like little stuffed pastries. Here, by the way, you see this is the middle finger, and I'm drawing the central axis for you, so it's a little off from it. And also notice this little bump that I highlighted, that's its growth direction, and that's the maximum correction possible. It's not possible to fix it any more than that. But this visual effect of curvature is still present. Because if I try to straighten and slim down this nail, especially on the left side where the wall is uneven, it still won't work because I'll thin out that wall, it will become fragile, and as a result the nail plate will just break during use. That's why in some cases you have to make compromises. But I want to say that Liza doesn't suffer from this at all, only the angry commenters who are constantly having fits are bothered by it, saying, oh my god, it's crooked. Of course it's crooked. That's just how her nail is. It's not a bad thing, it's just one of her features. And I want to say again, maybe the nail is crooked, but it's on a pair of gifted hands that do beautiful color work. So I have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of here. And to all the professionals who have clients with features like this, I want to say that there is no technique in the world that can rewrite how a person was made. But there are a huge number of wonderful products to make our nails beautiful, and now I want to show you one of them. I want to emphasize this wonderful gel once again because it's so beautiful. This shade is so complex, dusty blue, deep and a little cosmic. And of course, you don't think we're going to stop here. We have more planned. There will be more color. There will be design. We're going to play with all of this, and then we'll get back to talking about the difference between Zoomers and Millennials. Here we have a little overflow, but that's okay. I cleaned it with a degreaser and I'm taking the small drill bit again, the same one as before. I didn't take out a new one, I was too lazy to get up. And I work with it in the same way. The secret is in proper product application and the fact that I always degrease everything very thoroughly. I filed everything down and added some base because I might have filed off some of the base with this drill bit, and then I apply the gel again, the one I've already praised so much, but I won't stop. I feel like I was more excited than anyone for this stained glass gel collection. Now I have stained glass gel polishes and I have stained glass gels. And I need both because they serve very different purposes. With stained glass gel polish, I would get a completely different type of coverage and it would be suitable for a different situation. But here it's stained glass gel, and I really like how it shines near the cuticle and on the sides. That's exactly what I need. Our application is finished, and I want to show you from the side how these nails look, because they're very thin, there's a super minimal amount of material here. But at this moment I remember that there will be those haters who will say, oh my god, they're thick. Just for appearances, and because I plan to add a design on the tip that will add thickness, I'll file them a bit. But I can't make them any thinner. They're already as thin as possible to still be wearable. It's just that the nail plate, well, among other things, is also quite wide. It happens. And next we take the Korean cat number 05, I think. Yes, I showed it. It's in the same dusty blue shade, and these two colors match each other just perfectly. Well, I think you've guessed what I'm about to do. I want to do a gradient because, well, how could I not combine these two wonderful products together? In my opinion, they were just made for each other. By the way, lately I've really enjoyed mixing different brands together, especially because one has a gel like this and the other has a cat eye, and it just feels like they were made for each other. I'm magnetizing from the right, the left, the bottom, and most importantly from the top, and I end up with this beautiful little gradient. And as I promised, the middle finger with a little bump on the side. But there's nothing else I can do there. I decided to go over it with a second layer. And then Liza says, wow, this is so cool. She's sitting there watching and says, this is exactly what we need. It's a super complex, mysterious shade, such a beautiful deep blue, and also a silky Korean cat eye, which is the trendiest thing right now. So the person was really happy. By the way, an interesting fact. I found out that the design of this Korean cat label by Areski was created by a neural network. Can you imagine? They entered prompts into it and this interesting image came out. I'll definitely show it here as well. And I'm doing the gradient with a gradient brush from Non-Stop Nails. Actually, it's by Dasha Pentuk. I've already shown this brush before. I've been using it for a long time. So look for it on marketplaces. For obvious reasons, I can't leave links to everything you see on screen because there's a law about advertising. So where I mentioned it out loud, I suggest you just remember it and type it into the search engine. It's not that hard. I'm also repeating it on my thumb. And I want to tell you that after applying the top coat, a very unusual little issue came up in this design. But first we'll do a regular design. Liza really loves stripes. And we've drawn all kinds of stripes, but today there will be two. One a bit thicker and the other a bit thinner. I'm using gel paint from Cerebro, I think. Yes, I believe it's from Cerebro. Overall, it's quite liquid, so it's great for drawing thin lines. Next, we take the top coat from AM. It also has a clear brush, and we'll use it to cover all of our nails completely. By the way, about the silver and mercury paint, you need to wait a little while after you use it so that it gets the most mirror-like effect, but it has another unpleasant aspect. After you cover it with top coat, it still doesn't look very mirror-like. So if you want a super bright mirror-like surface, I recommend just using regular metallic powder. But on the other hand, applying metallic powder this thinly, well, I don't know, that's just super delicate work. Yes, I also get some flooding sometimes, but it's not a big deal. The orange stick solves this problem easily. And I know that the nails already look just like magnifying glasses, but I've already shown you they're not like that at all. On the other hand, by the way, I don't always show this, but I very often go over that area because in order to get the most glassy, beautiful effect, it's simply necessary. With the same cover brush that I showed you, yes, I apply a super thin layer with it and cure it. And now, the promised little hiccup. You see, our cat eye gradient looks unattractive from a certain angle like this. So these stripes, these lines, I'm turning it in different ways. And from a certain angle, it's a very beautiful design, but from another angle, it's not that great. So I got upset and said, Liza, it's all ruined. And she told me, let's look at it through my eyes. She took her phone and shot these beautiful clips. And I realized that she doesn't see these flaws. For her, it's a neat manicure. For her, these are beautiful nails, the color she wanted, and that matches her sweater so nicely. She doesn't see that crooked nail. She just sees a clean, neat, fresh manicure, and she really, really liked the color. That's the difference between Zoomers and Millennials, because the latter will now say that it's a disaster and it already looks grown out.